But it is great to be here. My name is Dennis. I'm with LucidLink, and I'm joined today by one of our customers and great partner, WebMD. And one of the things that made me join LucidLink as a company was I had that basic idea that the move to the cloud is inevitable. And if you agree with that sentiment, I think you'll really enjoy this conversation. So with that, let me actually hand it over to Brittney and Peter to introduce themselves, and we can go through a few questions.
Hi all, my name's Brittney Lief, and I am a senior production coordinator for WebMD, and what I basically do is make sure that handoffs between producers, editors, and post on the site go smoothly, and all the ducks in a row are in a line for all our footage and media management.
I am Peter Zunitch. I am a lead senior video editor, also with WebMD and our sister company Medscape. One side does consumer, one side does the professional side, and I oversee part of the video editing team and admin LucidLink.
So that's great. So when I think of WebMD, I think of like, hey, I have this weird feeling. I'm going to go to WebMD as a website, but obviously WebMD is a lot more. You're producing a tremendous amount of content these days, correct?
Correct. We work on everything from continuing medical education, CME videos for Medscape, to news videos on Medscape, to we do short documentary series about a bunch of diseases, and we're constantly evolving with John White show about cancer, you name it, there's a video on it.
Yeah, we have a team of approximately 20 or so in-house editors and about 20 or so producers who are throughout the world. We regularly shoot on 6 of the 7 continents, and all of that footage is shot around the world, comes back to one central, well, used to come back to one central location, now it comes back to the cloud. And anything shot in Paris can be edited in New York same day. We have revolutionized our workflow with the system.
Why don't you talk to us about what it was like before? What was kind of the workflow? You know, obviously you had an increasing demand. People want to know. The world communicates more and more with video. So I'm sure your demand, your requests to create more video is always increasing. How are you dealing with it before the pandemic? And then I think probably it's fair to say that the pandemic made you change your thinking, and that's how you came to LucidLink.
Oh yeah, pre-pandemic we were what we call old school. We used hard drives, and we would have a producer. They could have shot something in New York, California, even Paris. We're a global company, so we shoot all around the world. So they would record it, put it all on a hard drive, which everyone knows you leave it overnight, you hope in the morning it's all there, fingers crossed. And then the challenging part was, where's the closest FedEx? If it's a weekend, you gotta wait till Monday. Then you ship it out to our main studio in New York. 3 business days later, we got that, Christmas came, we got that hard drive that you then uploaded onto your computer, and it took days to finally get something. But thanks to Lucid, overnight, we're now expedited our process. You upload it to the cloud, overnight it's on Lucid, next morning it's ready for an editor to look at and start editing. So it really helped us, especially we do a lot of news videos and medical stuff. It's rapidly changing, especially with COVID, so it was super helpful with us getting relevant information out as fast as possible.
That's great.
Yeah, one of the things I'd like to say is we have obviously a big problem with quality of life. You're sitting here shooting your stuff, it's got to be up tomorrow, it's got to be edited right away. Everybody wants faster, bigger, stronger. And to sit there and say, okay, you've shot the footage, now you got to transfer it to hard drive, you bring it back, hopefully you upload it. Some of the other systems didn't work for us. You know, we'd have troubles with transferring files and things like that. You know, when you're out in the world, one of the biggest things you want is backup solutions and alternative possibilities. So we have that, but the truth is we haven't needed it so far. We will be at a convention and we'll shoot that. And let's say the editor who is on location at that convention is too busy. They're overloaded. Well, let's have somebody in the office back in Atlanta or New York edit that instead. All you have to do is put the footage on the server that everybody's working from to begin with anyway, and everyone has access to that footage. We have a setup where we like to say any of our editors can edit any program at any given time. And with this system, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah, we were talking about this a little bit earlier, and one of the things that I find in talking to customers for 25 years is the idea of LucidLink being the single source of truth. We all need the accessibility, we need the performance, and we don't want to waste the time, but to the idea of hard drives, like you're shipping a hard drive, or what I would call sync and share solutions, you're waiting for the thing to upload and then it has to populate and move out and here and there. The immediacy, I think, is what you're talking about, that allows any of those 20 editors to edit any project at any time.
Right, and then going back to the quality of life issue, we have obviously elements. Everybody's got elements. You got an intro and outro. Every time you update those, in the past we used to have to put it on our main servers, then we'd put it on the cloud servers, and we'd say, you know, you download it here, and the producers would have the little hard drive that they carried with them. Now we have all our elements, all our editing templates for all our programs in one spot, and if it's an update is pushed, well, everyone is already accessing that from that one central location. So we don't have to worry about, does everyone have the most latest and greatest. One of the interesting side effects is, so you sit there and say, well, why is Lucid then different than another cloud storage system? Honestly, it just works, and it works well. It's easy to use. Everyone jumped on board right away.
Were there any hesitations, or for today, are the editors, do they notice any difference in terms of waiting for local drives or different things like that? Like, is there any performance difference, I guess?
I think so. I think we get spoiled in a way. I think that's the best way to put it with Lucid. I was in Europe recently for a conference. We were filming stuff for oncology, and it's a medical conference, and we were running from hotel to conference center. We didn't have internet, so we were using hard drives because we're scrambling, and we were spoiled because we were like, oh, we need Lucid, it's so much faster, we put it up there and then an editor could take it. But we were going old school, we were doing hard drives, and it reprogrammed to be like, only 2 years ago this is all we knew, but it complicated things. And back to what Peter said with the quality of life, the stress of making sure that you double check to make sure that you're taking that hard drive off correctly, or else you lose everything.
Yeah. Has the immediacy or the immediate access, has that allowed WebMD to scale up? Do you feel like you've been able to deliver more content in this, you know, basically keep editors editing?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
We had that situation like everybody had when lockdown came, is how are we going to continue our productions and still not go on location? How are we going to do that remotely? And how are we going to edit remotely? And this became our central hub. It came along at just the right time for us. One of the big issues is now we have this overloaded workflow. We've actually increased our production. And we go, well, we don't have time to edit all this stuff that comes in. What are we going to do? So you consider, well, are we going to hire a freelancer? And what's the big question then? Okay, so you got a freelancer. First of all, they're not in your location. Are you going to have to ship them a drive? Then I got to take the time to put that stuff on the drive. Then I got to instruct them how to edit and everything. Then I got to send them the drive and wait for it to arrive. Hopefully it arrives in time. Then we still have a deadline to get it back for. Is it worth that? I could just stay up all night and edit it myself. Well, now I just give them access to our server, and I can give them access to just one folder where that project is, and they're online and editing in 10 minutes. I'm talking to them, you know, on the phone or internet or whatever, and saying this is how it's done, and it's done. It's done on time and it's done efficiently, and I got sleep.
Sleep is good.
Yes, I like sleep.
So, and this process that you've described with the freelancers, was that something that you'd actually be doing prior to moving your data to the cloud? Was that something where that process, or you just be like, I'm just going to edit myself, and therefore you didn't get sleep?
Oh, I'd say it's a little of each, right?
Yeah, it was a lot harder to have freelancers. We had our trusty people that worked with us for years, so they knew our work schedules, our workflow. But with the adaptation of Lucid into our workflow, it really made it not question having to have a freelancer. We're like, come in, let's help us. Within an hour, they're set up.
Now, Peter, you had said, you told me about a documentary, a different project outside of WebMD that you had done.
Right.
That you'd shared that story. Perhaps you could share it for here.
So it's a typical story that anyone's done the documentary or a TV series or whatever has gotten into. I was working at a post house before this company, and we got into that situation where we had something due and they wanted it to air, so we had to get it to them and get the captioning. Long story short, we had that deadline to meet, and of course they came in the night before and said we need major changes. And we ended up with 2 editors staying overnight, and I was in one edit room and the other editor was in the other edit room, and we're swapping drives back and forth, and they're working on the first half of the program, I'm on the second half of the program, and all I could think about is, man, wouldn't it be great if all of our stuff was in one spot and we could access that, and I could be at home editing right now and I could finish this up and still get that rest and whatever. I wish it were around back then. You know, that's the world that we lived in, and I loved it. It was a great rush. But now I'm getting a little older. I got kids. I want my sleep, and I need this now, for sure.
So as we kind of wrap up, because 15 minutes goes like that, is there a couple of pieces of advice or recommendations that you'd have for, you know, this is kind of the NAB community, right? So it's like, what would be your feedback?
I think it's trust it. I know at first you think to yourself, oh, you mean it's just on my local desktop and all the files I need to collaborate with my coworkers are there. At first you're like, I'm not sure, but trust it. It definitely works. It's easy to collaborate with coworkers, even just have storage for, use it as archival. It's there, so trust the process, it works.
Yeah, I mean, 3 years ago, at the very least, I was saying to my colleague, it's not there yet. Can't work from home. We can try, but it's not really there yet. It's here now. Between this and a virtual desktop solution that we're using, we can do things now that we were dreaming of years ago, and it's fast and efficient. There are a few hiccups. You have to worry about managing your file space and keeping that to size and everything. There's a lot of planning involved, but it's the dream is real. So, you know, look into it. It's worth it.
So, quick question, then we'll go wrap.
Do you guys have something like Slack to collaborate on as a communications platform?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we use Teams, Microsoft Teams, and that's how we communicate within our department and individually to collaborate.
And I would just say, there's, with most of the customers that I've interacted with, there's something like Slack or some kind of message client makes it easy, right? Because they're interacting with the file space at the same time, and they're able to collaborate on the media, and then a messaging tool like Slack is real easy. Hey, I got the next 10 minutes, or the new clip is up and I've imported it. So those are a great tag team together. So I'll just wrap. Thank you everyone for hanging out. I hope that you'll stop by. The LucidLink booth is in the 1600, so just straight back that way. Come see us. Thank you so much, and come up and ask me any questions.